Hello, glorious souls. Welcome to your Soul Service Astrology update for the 10th of October, 2022. My name is Kelx. I'm a 13-sign sidereal astrologer. How is that different to all the other astrology that you might find in our very Western modern world? I'm talking Western modern astrology. It's different because the astrology that I will refer to correlates with where the planets can be observed in our sky. So it generally matches astronomy. I think that's really important because if we're going to come back into connection with our environment, we need to start observing it. So you can start to observe the sky like our ancestors did and continue to do. And that will allow us to come back into connection with ourselves, gain clarity for the things that we're seeking clarity on, start stepping more into our purpose and our service, start to heal ourselves. Astrology offers us a portal into all these things. So without further ado, let's check out what's happening in the skies this week as I share my screen with you. Well, we kick the week off with a bang. Excuse me. We kick the week off with a bang as I move some screens around so I can see things. We kick the week off with a bang. We have a full moon on Monday in Pisces, and Pluto also goes direct. So let's deal with Pluto direct to begin with. Pluto has the energy of destruction, the destroyer, annihilation. It's a very transpersonal or collective energy. We have certainly been through a lot of that over the last 2 years. When Pluto goes retrograde, it's actually a great time to review all the things that we've managed to overcome and change. Now, when we have Pluto energy impact us personally, that's typically because we have a Pluto transit. But more generally, there's usually things that we can't control, and that's Pluto energy. When you're like, why can't I control this? And that's Pluto energy. Now, when it was retrograde, it was going back over things. How have I transformed? How have I changed? What things don't bother me now that used to bother me that are still not in my control? But I've realized that part of my transformation is to relinquish control of them. Now that it starts moving forward again, it may be a period of time where you go back over those things. Perhaps there's some more things that need to be destroyed as part of that process. It's a great way, particularly with Pluto in Sagittarius, as with all the astrology I talk about, it's not a prediction, it's more an opportunity for you to step into the liberation of beliefs. Perhaps you're liberating yourself from dreams that you're no longer connected to for whatever reason. It might be because they're not congruent anymore, or perhaps because they were taking too much from the planet. So do that. Review how you've changed. Review how you've managed to relinquish control and liberate yourself from really hanging on to things. Now, that's perfect for a full moon because the full moon is when the moon is fully illuminated by the sun. Even if we just took that as archetypal energy, our inner realm, our emotions are fully illuminated and shining like the sun. And it's almost like our emotions and our feelings and that part of our intelligence, because that's part of our intelligence, our feelings and our emotions and our nervous system, it does want to shine. We don't necessarily always want to be pretending. We want people to see our innermost feelings and emotions. And on a full moon, that can generally happen. Or you can allow it to happen. Now, in Pisces, this full moon energy is going to be wanting us to express in a much more intuitive, surrendering way. Is that great English, Kelly, and grammar? So that we can surrender more into our subtle intelligences. So in particular, our intuition. So I would highly recommend under this full moon, paying attention to subtle things that sort of pop up for you. Pay attention to your dreams. Notice like with Pluto, notice where you need to let go more so that you can step more deeply into your intuitive and intelligence. So you can step more deeply into congruence with the environment around you. So that is Mondays. We start off with a nice big bang on Monday. Let's move into Tuesday, the 11th of October. We have Neptune retrograde in Pisces square Mars. Neptune is transpersonal, mystical energy. Again, more of this really intuitive energy, this really big call for you to get on board that you have these subtle senses that you can use, right? You can use these subtle senses. Now, this energy is square Mars. Mars is focus, direction, and it's in Taurus, right? So it's acting very down to earth. It's looking at our values. It's making sure that we're resourced. It's focusing our energy to get our shit sorted, so to speak, right? And along comes Neptune, and along comes the full moon and says, well, actually, you need to surrender more to oneness. What the hell does that mean? Because people used to say that to me, and I was a bit like, what the hell does that mean? Well, that means you need to let go of things in the physical realm. Sometimes not everything you can control, not everything you can do. And rather than having this inner tension, and that's square energy, rather than having this inner tension, there's an opportunity under this aspect for you to let go of something that you had been really hyper-focusing on, and it was causing tension, and to surrender it to your mystic, to surrender it to the consciousness that surrounds you, to surrender it to the divine and the universe. So that's the opportunity this energy presents. Now, it might feel really and really tense inside, because I liken a square energy to that of a rubber band being pulled. So you might be being pulled in two different directions. Oh, I need to be grounded and resourced and practical and focusing all my energy here. And Neptune and your intuition is going, how about we do this? How about we do this? And that's what's going to create the tension. So you need to listen to both sides so that you can pull the rubber band just gently so it doesn't snap or it's not loose, but you get both sides working together. Then on the 12th of, oh, that made it go bigger. Never done that before. On the 12th of October, we have a lovely aspect, actually. It's more earth energy here. Saturn is trine the sun in Virgo. So Saturn represents a it's a social planet, so it's a bit closer in. Now, in, I would say, the old days, historically, Saturn was seen as a bad omen. It was seen as the great malefic. However, I think Saturn's been given a bad image. I liken Saturn to one of the niyamas in yoga philosophy, and that is the niyama of tapas. In us, if we cultivate an inner discipline to what it is that we want to have an impact in the world, like these are big things when you're talking about Saturn. It requires effort. It requires work. It requires methodology. It requires perhaps consolidating and eliminating things that are distracting you. And this is all to consolidate down you into your wisdom. Now, when we have wisdom, there's a magic in that because that makes us all unique. Now, when this is trine, the sun in Virgo, what this is suggesting is it's really easy for you to channel your magic, to channel your wisdom. And you may have been doing a review. You might be trying out some things because Saturn is in retrograde. To channel it into your passion, your purpose, and your service, and allow it to shine out. This is where the leader gets to lead through expression, authenticity, and service. And if that's not being fully human, I don't know what is. So, you know, we've got this Pisces energy happening last year and this year, and Neptune's going to be there for several years, as is Chiron. calling for us to continue to surrendering and embracing our subtle intelligences and bringing them into our 3D. Well, this is saying you are wise, bring this energy in while you're being very grounded and human. And that's the anthropos, fully human and fully divine. You get to be both. The 13th of October, we have some more of this Pisces energy opposite Mercury. So we have Jupiter in Pisces opposite Mercury. I feel like this is really fighting with our logic. It's fighting with the nudges that we're getting to be joyful and allow ourselves to shape shift and merge with the nudges that we're getting and to listen to them. And that's that Pisces Jupiter energy. But of course, down here, Mercury in Virgo can be very, oh, is that true? Is that real? That can't be true. That can't be real. I need to have the evidence. I need to have logic supporting that. So this is an oppositional energy, and this oppositional energy is with us always, where we're balancing between the reasoning mind and, I would say, the spiritual or the mystical mind. And we have to find a fluid harmony that works for us. Sometimes we need to be very analytical and logical, and then sometimes we need to be completely disconnected from that and attending to our connection with oneness. But there can be a fluid harmony that you can bring both into your day-to-day. And I feel like that's what this oppositional energy is that, and similarly with the Saturn to Sun and Venus, I'm going to talk about the Saturn to Venus in a moment. And then, of course, we had Neptune opposite Mercury. It's really allowing ourselves to use all our intelligences in our day-to-day and not questioning it, not doubting it, and that we can be both logical and mystical at the same time. Like in particular, for example, I have been in interviews, interviewing staff to work at a company, and I have allowed my intuition to lead in those interactions, and I have had additional information revealed to me that is not said, it is felt through intuition and consciousness. And that has helped me and the company make decisions about hiring staff. So that's just one example where you can bring together all your intelligences and they can support, including the ones that might be considered a bit woo. We don't use that here because I don't really like it. Okay, so on the 14th of October, that's Friday the 14th, Saturn retrograde is trine Venus. Ooh, right. So typically I don't talk about, sexy things, but I kind of feel like people wouldn't typically say, oh my God, you've got a Saturn aspect to Venus and va-va-voom, let's get in the room. But I really feel like this is honoring our sacred vessel. We have wisdom in this vessel. We have pleasure and sensuality and enjoyment and connection in this vessel, our body. And honoring it and pleasuring it and connecting with it, and then perhaps also connecting with others, is part of our earthly wisdom. And on the 14th, it's really easy to connect with and allow yourself. So here's the opportunity to allow yourself to connect with your sacred vessel and to honor it as part of your wisdom. So that's another intelligence that's part of our mystical intelligence, and that's our body's wisdom. Are you listening to your body's wisdom? And it should be easier for you at the end of the week to listen to it. And when I say listen to it, it may come through feelings, emotions, sensations, knowings, visions, hearing things, all those types of senses. And we round out the end of the week with Venus and Sun conjunct. So we get the regenerative connector and the creator together. And after, well, Saturn is still trine this energy. So this is where you get to really embody yourself as the servant. And there's another word that I'll introduce here, and it's called the erudite. And the erudite is known as someone who has a really learned wisdom. Now, previously, people would have thought that they're a hermit and they keep it to themselves, but I kind of feel like a Virgo and as the erudite is charged with bringing that wisdom to the world, bringing it to earth. And of course, I'm just reminded then through my intuition that, of course, Virgo as the Virgin was kind of castrated a little bit, to use a very masculine term there, because previously Maiden was a reference for a woman that wasn't married. It didn't mean that she was chaste and not having sex. It just meant she wasn't married. And then, of course, as we became more puritanical, more ruled by the patriarchal, trying to control feminine energy, of course, Virgo became castrated, became Virgo and chaste and the perfectionist. Well, Virgo's not like that at all. So on the weekend, you're allowed to be this fecund goddess where you get to honor your sacred vessel, your heart, your body. You get to listen to it all in its earthly goodness. Look after yourself, tap into your wellness, feed it nurturing food, seek out environments that you find pleasure within, and connect with people that you find pleasure to be in their energetic field and with them. So that is the astrology for the week of the 10th of October. I hope you've enjoyed that. Please hit subscribe so you don't miss any of these. And I have explained here today weekly opportunities that astrology presents us. And it's really the tracking of the transits. It allows us an opportunity to connect into different energies that perhaps we want to shift and change, or we want to amplify to help gain more clarity in relation to our purpose and service, more clarity in relation to our life. Now, if you are tracking these daily, you start to see your patterns unfold. And that's where the creation of my Soul Service Astrology 2023 planner will help you. It is mapped, led by the solar seasons. It doesn't start until the 1st of March, 2023. And all the months will be divided by the new moon and the full moon and the equinoxes and the solstices. And that's it. There won't be any pages saying this month starts here. So it will be a truly lunar-led and solar-led calendar. And of course, it's sidereal. So you'll be able to observe these aspects within the night sky. And if you would like to support me creating that planner, getting it designed and printing it, the planner is up for pre-sale, and you can go and pre-purchase one at kellygunter.com or soulserviceastrology.com. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next week. Bye.